Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And yes, folks, here we go again. Another episode 333, magical number. I don't know, magically good, magically bad, but a magical number. This is your Patrick Come Lately. British by birth, American by choice, and proud of it. We've got a great show this evening, lots of different topics. I'm sure I won't get to half of what I wanted to talk to you about. As ever, remember, this show is to get the message out to you so that you can get the message out to all those friends, acquaintances, enemies, whatever, who are sitting on the fence and don't know which way to vote. Or they think they're going to be voting for a lying, cheating, evil, bigoted witch. Here on this show, you'll get the topics, you'll get the messages that you can take back to them and persuade them that there is only one direction to go in, and that is the direction of conservatism, the direction of republicanism, the direction of liberty. Just the right way, folks. That's that simple. Okay, the show is coming to you today from Connecticut again. I've been coming back to Connecticut. Came back last week after the show. I flew down on Wednesday evening, was here for a couple of days. They asked me to come back, so I'm back here in Connecticut, not up in Massachusetts where I had that horrible experience with the hotel network. Hopefully the hotel network here is a little bit better. But so I'm back in New England, and Connecticut, strangely enough, I was seeing one of my author friends, a guy called Todd Wood, who has some excellent books, by the way, on Amazon. Currency, Sugar were a couple of them. Semi-historical, he weaves history with the present time or slightly in the future even. Not a techno thriller, not anything in that respect, but just your good old skullduggery, spy meets spy kind of thing, and just good fun. But like I said, also a good mixture of history and pretty much present day type situation. What else today? Well, let's have a look. I do want to mention one thing. I realized I was doing some administration. I had to fill in some paperwork and had to look something up, and I suddenly realized that 3 months ago I missed an important anniversary, a personal anniversary. No, and not my wedding anniversary, although it was the big 4-0 this year, I think, or is it next year? No, I think it was this year. But we don't really celebrate wedding anniversaries like you do over here. So my wife and I we kept it low key. But 40 years, long while. But it seems like yesterday. have to say that. My wife might be listening. Anyway, so didn't forget my wedding anniversary. No, what I forgot was my 10-year anniversary since Patrick Come Lately came. That's right. Just over 10 years ago now, I became a proud American citizen. At the time, little did I realize that it would lead to this extra career on the side. But in spite of that, I've enjoyed every minute, and 10 years now. I guess in some ways maybe I ought to be dropping the lately, but it's kind of the brand now, so I'm just going to stick with it. I will stick with it as long as I can. Okay, folks. Want to say hi to the folks in the chat room. Rex and Paul have arrived as usual. Hopefully Mary will join soon, although I've been a little lax with my social media reminders that the show is starting up, and so she likes to be reminded. She's not there yet, and of course we had David in last week. Hope that he can come back to join us. But anyway, Rex and Paul, good evening. Nice to see you. Rex mentioned that Gene Wilder died in Nevada. What was it, Sunday, so a couple of days ago. Very sad when these icons leave us. He was suffering from Alzheimer's, but he brought a lot to the movies, brought a lot of pleasure to folks. He was, and his films were always very enjoyable. So very sad to hear that. And there are others every day, but obviously the ones we know are the ones that we talk about. Another topic, folks. I've titled this one Danger, Will Smith, Danger, because it looks like the 1930s all over again. Another power grab by the power-hungry elites in Washington, D.C. Now, you may have heard in the last few days that the FBI identified a couple of cyber attacks on two separate state election boards, people trying to hack into the election computers that are connected to the network so that the polling places can upload their results onto the computers. Now, remember last week I talked about black box vote and talked about how easy it was to hack into those. Well, now it's been announced that people have been trying to do that. With one of them, they believe they did get in. With one of them, they just have evidence that someone was trying, but not that they actually got in. However, this topic is not about that. And I have to say, with those two cyber attacks, like I said, a week ago, you heard it here first. We were talking about it even before it was actually announced. Now, it happened some time ago, a few months, I believe, but you heard it here first. However, what else could be connected with that? And here's the danger, Will Smith, danger part of it. The Department of Homeland Security, even before these cyber attacks had been identified, the Department of Homeland Security began considering declaring the election a critical infrastructure, giving it the same control over security it has over Wall Street and the electric power grid. And of course, the latest admission of those attacks could speed up that effort and possibly even speed it up to include the upcoming presidential election. Jay Johnson, Homeland Security Secretary, because he's pretty useless, we should carefully consider whether our election system, our election process, is critical infrastructure, like the financial sector, like the power grid, like something we can get our thieving hands on and influence and corrupt and defraud and do all the things that government does. Heaven help us, folks. Jay Johnson continued on. There's a vital national interest in our election process. So I do think we need to consider whether it should be considered by my department and others critical infrastructure. And this was earlier this month, before the announcement of the hacking of the state election boards. Now, DHS has a security role over 16 areas, all told now, of critical infrastructure. And do you think they're doing a good job of it? I doubt it. But the DHS describes it on their website. There are 16 critical infrastructure sectors whose assets, systems and networks, whether physical or virtual, are considered so vital to the United States that their incapacitation or destruction would have a debilitating effect on security, national economic security, national public health or safety, and any combination thereof. So they are going to grab power over the national elections. Except that's wrong. In the Constitution, elections are not national. Elections are run by the states. That's what the Constitution says. And I'm going to be handling that in the near future, because Constitution Day, September 17th, is coming up. So it's that time of year to talk about the Constitution. Anyway, so Constitution does not say that elections are national. They say they are arranged by the states. A White House policy directive, now we should get really scared. The federal government also has a responsibility to strengthen the security and resilience of its own critical infrastructure for the continuity of national essential functions, and to organize itself to partner effectively with and add value to the security and resilience efforts of critical infrastructure owners and operators. Well, of course, in this case, the voting machines are owned and operated by the states. So, of course, that's their excuse to take it over and start messing around with it, and not just create all sorts of extra rules and inconveniences around it, but also be able to influence and interject and do all sorts of things with the voting. Remember, and I can't remember whether it's Lenin or Stalin, or anyway, one of those communists said, it's not who votes that count, it's who counts that matters. And that's why that's why the federal government is wanting to get involved in the voting process, because they want to be the ones counting and not leaving it up to the states, because that's too much liberty for these stupid people to have. We in Washington, we know much better than those stupid people out in the states. So we'll wait and see. Let's see how we're doing for time. Well, we're getting just to the first commercial break. So, folks, before we get there, Rex is reminding me in his FEMA Camp series of books, right? Homeland Security taking over the elections, as predicted in the FEMA Camp series starting 5 years ago. Rex, you are so right. Deja vu all over again. Deja vu. Scary, scary. Okay, folks, it is time for the first commercial, so I am going to take a sip of my beer. I'm on the road, so not homebrew, unfortunately, but I have found a good local craft beer here in the hotel, so I'll be drinking that, and I will be back after these messages.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network. Okay, folks, and just a reminder there, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, a great network full of very good hosts. Most of the hosts from Red State Talk Radio moved across to Red Nation Rising, were either evicted from Red State or moved of their own accord. And the good news is, especially for people in South Georgia and North Florida, that the two stations down there are now carrying Red Nation Rising Radio between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. on a regular overnight basis. So this is WJHC Talk 107.5 and WDDQ, which I believe is an AM station. For more details, check my website, www.patrickcomelately.us. Have the syndication information there. So, folks, anyway, so another topic to discuss, but before I do, just a reminder, Paul was asking which network. Red Nation Rising, Paul, and there are others as well. Streaming talk radio, and I even found out you can probably get me on things like TuneIn. I believe my podcasts my recordings get put out on iTunes, all sorts of things. Like I said, go to the website, go to the syndication page. You can see all the different places that you can get the show. Okay, so let's go on to the next topic. And one thing I wanted to mention, I saw on the internet, and it is a video which I can't show here, obviously, But it was about a recent Trump rally in Ohio. Remember, Ohio is one of the key battleground states. And a reporter wanders into the crowd and asks people what their party affiliation is. And one of the strange things is that she finds tons of former Democrats and many independents. Now, we keep hearing that Democrats are not breaking for Donald Trump. Independents are not breaking for Donald Trump. It's only Republicans that support him. So it's very interesting that when you actually get on the ground and see reality, what's happening. Also in the video, what's very remarkable, and something you definitely don't see on the lamestream media, obviously all the left-wing stations definitely, but even on Fox, they don't show the audience. Because at this Trump rally, there were black people, whites, Hispanics, men, women, young and old represented. I mean, it's just unbelievable how much diversity there is. But of course, it doesn't fit their narrative. So they're not going to show it. And that, to me, those are the important words about everything that goes on in the press today. The press is no longer the fourth estate. They only report what fits their narrative. They're not reporting the news. They're reporting stuff that supports what they think. There's a big difference between reporting the news and reporting things that support what you feel, what you think. It's very unfortunate, but I've said this before on the show, right? The press has gone to double hockey sticks, or HE double hockey sticks, and a handbasket. And it's a shame. It's a shame for the press. But, well, that's it. So, I did watch a little bit of his speech tonight, Donald Trump's speech in Washington State, not D.C., and interestingly enough, one of the things he said was, Republicans never come to Washington because they don't think they can win there. He said, but I'm coming because I think I can win and because Washington deserves it. His whole speech, again this time, I don't know if he was doing it off the cuff, whether he was doing it with teleprompters. He was very, very presidential. Now, the left are not going to give him a chance. They will cut sound bites out of that speech to make him look less than presidential. But if you look at string together a whole, 5 or 10 minutes of it, you'll see he looks very, very presidential. He's not yelling. He's not screaming. He's not saying funny stuff. He really looks presidential. And if that's the Donald Trump we're going to see in the debates, then Hillary's going to have a hell of a time. Of course, interestingly enough, there are all sorts of rumors about Hillary actually employing psychologists and going back 40 years in Donald Trump's history to find things that she can get under his skin in the debates. Because it's very obvious what they're going to try and do. And Donald Trump is a very clever person. He has to know that this is going to happen. She is going to do everything that she can to get under his skin. She's not going to talk about policies or things. She's not worried about that. She just wants to get under his skin and make him blow his top in one way or the other. And you know what I expect. I know how clever he is. I'm sure that his advisors can help him do this, because I really believe it, and I really hope it, that he's going to be so smooth that the person who actually blows their top is going to be Hillary herself, because she's going to get so frustrated that everything that she practiced for doesn't work, that she just goes ballistic, and boom, that's it. And maybe definitely in the first debate, maybe in the second, and hopefully in the third. Let's not have another Romney, right, who destroyed Obama in the first debate and then kind of wishy-washy in the second and totally lost the third one. We want Donald Trump to win all of them, don't we? So, here's some more things that you can say to, like I said, your friends, family. Well, they can't be friends if they're not voting for Trump, I'm sure. But, well, maybe they are. So friends, family, acquaintances, and even enemies. But when they say, well, I'm not going to vote for Trump because... Here's some things. Remember, one of the things, and he said it again tonight, and I have to say, to me, it's a very presidential thing to say. Trump said, vote for me. What have you got to lose? You voted for the same people, the Washington elites, election after election, and nothing has improved. What have you got to lose by voting for me? And quite frankly, he's right. It can't get any worse. We know how bad it will be with Hillary. So even if Donald Trump is bad, it's not going to be any worse than Hillary. And if he does half of what he said, it'll be America will turn around and it'll be an absolute miracle. But anyway, so he says, vote for me, what have you got to lose? Well, let me tell you what happens if you vote for Hillary. We'll lose the SCOTUS. Through losing the SCOTUS and all sorts of laws regarding letting in immigrants, right to vote, voter ID, yada, 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 will lose GOP administrations for the next 50 to 150 years. If you vote for Hillary, you'll lose your income as she hikes taxes up to unbelievable levels. And on top of that, you'll lose your guns. Hillary, in this campaign, is saying, oh, I'm not going to take your guns. I'm not going to take your guns. But the secret recording that they had of Hillary, yeah, she doesn't like guns at all. And I'm going to play you that clip again because I want to remind you about it. And finally, the other thing we'll lose, our country will lose its self-respect as Hillary prostrates us on the altar of New World Order submission, because that's exactly what she's going to do. I'm going to tell you some things about what Soros has been doing. And remember, she is owned lock, stock, and barrel by George Soros. Hope you don't mind that particular analogy, but I want to use it about her against her. Okay, folks, let me just play that clip. This was a secret recording that was not supposed to be recorded. It was a meeting where they were not supposed to be recording. So whoever did this probably could be in hot water. But listen to what Hillary says. Very scary.
So I'm going to speak out. I'm going to do everything I can to rally people against this pernicious, corrupting influence of the NRA. And we're going to do whatever we can. I was proud when my husband took them out, and we were able to ban assault weapons, but he had to put a sunset on. So 10 years later, of course, Bush wouldn't agree to reinstate them. We've got to go after this. And here again, the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment. And I am going to make that case every chance I get. So I will need your help on that.
So there we are, right? She's going to fight the NRA, and she was proud of her husband who took on the NRA. She is going to take our guns away, folks. Remember that. So if you're one of those stupid people, those morons who's in the Never Trump camp, remember that. Because there is no choice right now. It's vote for Trump or give Hillary everything she wanted. And she feels entitled to. Talk about an entitlement society. She feels she's entitled to the White House. Well, no way. Let's show her. And as we hear from Donald Trump, and I think that's the best one, when people say, lock her up, and he just turns around and says, the best thing we can do is vote her out. That'll be the worst prison, that'll be the worst punishment for her, is by not voting for her. That'll do far more than getting her in prison. Okay. Another quick topic, and this is something interesting. Again, it's only one source, so I haven't been able to check this, but it looks very real, so I want to quickly run through it. Almost time for commercials. But do you remember the fuss, the kerfuffle around Donald Trump making comments about Khizr Khan and his wife? Well, remember the Gold Star family, right, who caused such commotion because they were denouncing Trump for his stand against Muslim immigration at the Democrat National Convention. Well, we are now finding out, according to this person, that not only did the Democrats pay actors to fill up their seats at the convention, which apparently is a true story, but they also paid Khan $25,000 to make that speech. The speech itself was not written by him. It was written by two DNC staffers. Remember, he pulled a copy of the Constitution out of his pocket? That was bought by a staffer 2 hours before the speech, supposedly. But there's more. 5 Gold Star families turned down the DNC's request to speak at the convention. 5. So it was only, they were the 6th family approached. And now it gets very, very scary. Khan's law firm is actually in debt to the tune of $1.7 million and owes back taxes of over $850,000 plus penalties. But if you're a friend of the Democrats and think Reverend Al Sharpton, right? You're a friend of the White House, you're a friend of the Democrats. What does that mean? It means the IRS has put the back taxes and penalties on hold since his convention speech. Folks, the IRS is politicized. Again, I mean, this is just unbelievable that we allow this to go by without doing anything, without saying anything. In addition, the DNC paid him a bonus, apparently, of round about $175,000 for his media efforts after the DNC, because he was on all these shows, and CNN also paid him $100,000 for his interviews. Now, I thought one of the unwritten laws was that that the news channels do not pay people to appear on their show. Obviously, I mean, you look at Fox, I have to be honest, a lot of the time the people there, they're talking up a book or something, so they're getting something out of it, but they're not actually being paid. Here we're talking $100,000 for that. Now, the commentator says, and who's dishonoring his son's memory? Yeah, you're getting rich off the death of your son. Let's just put it in black and white. That's exactly what's happening. Talk about soulless. Very definitely. Okay, folks, it's that time again. I see Mary hasn't joined us, so she's going to miss out on the commercials this week. Ha ha. Anyway, back in a few moments.
Patriot come lately. British by birth. American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
This is Stefan, your Patriot Come Lately, proud to be on Red Nation Rising Radio. These can be dark and depressing times, but Main Street USA finally has a competitive voice to traditional mainstream media outlets, and it's screaming at all hours, 24/7, we want our country back. America, it's time to wake up, expose the regressives, and keep listening to the new dominant force in conservative internet talk radio, the Red Nation Rising Radio Network, powered by ICRN.
Not too long ago, it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank, didn't it? For a vacation or a new car. But today, withdrawing your own cash has become risky. Pat Boone here for Swiss America. According to The Secret War, a new Swiss America white paper, I learned that all banks are now required to spy on you and me for the government. and then report any financial behavior deemed suspicious or unusual. You must read The Secret War. It's free. Truth is, I believe the government's new war against cash is really a war against us all. But the secret is now out. So please, get and read The Secret War.
Call 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. 800-516-3405. Call right now. That number again is 800-516-3405.
You're listening to Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patriotcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network.
Okay, folks, back into the show here for the it's the second half of the show already. I want to I'm going to skip the next topic. That's a long one, and it's one for a future thing, but I do want to mention about some leaks, some things that have come to light about our dear friend Spooky Dude. Yes, Spooky Dude, aka George Soros, and I've mentioned before how he's doing all sorts of trying to influence the current administration. And remember, with all the money he pumps into the progressive cause, he probably has a pretty good ear of the administration. But Soros had lobbied Obama to accept over 100,000 extra refugees, and this memo came to light. And if you see what he wrote, unbelievable. Over the course of several weeks, we, along with our colleagues in the Washington office, led by Stephen Rickard, combined to undertake very active efforts to support a request to the administration to provide a special allocation of an additional 100,000 refugee slots for Syrians and significantly expanded resources for international aid efforts. George Soros made such a request to President Obama in a recent letter, and 18 mayors across America are committed to welcoming refugees in their cities in numbers surpassing the administration's proposal. Probably 18 mayors in sanctuary cities, I think about. In another report, Soros was trying to influence a Supreme Court decision regarding immigration, and according to FNC, he personally wrote Secretary of State Hillary Clinton in 2011 urging intervention in Albania's political unrest. Sure enough, an envoy he recommended was dispatched to the region within days. Of course, he pumps so much money in as soon as he says anything, and we've seen the pay-for-play of Hillary Clinton. So George Soros is going to get a lot of play for all the pay he does. But that's not all, folks. More leaked documents are exposing how Spooky Dude is scheming to permanently change politics in America. And I talked about the SOS campaign that he had, the Secretary of State campaign, the attempt to replace Secretaries of State across all the 50 states because they are the ones that control the elections at each state. But here, more documents, how he's also has plans to also influence the elections. So not just by controlling the Secretaries of State, but other ones. So according to the report, the top priority of this socialist/communist billionaire, New World Order billionaire, is to expand and grow the electorate by 10 million voters who will be primarily Democrat. He's pledging to bankroll the effort, which includes challenging voter ID laws. Well, we've noticed the left does nothing else but challenge them, and registering minority voters. The report shows that Soros' scheme to grow the electorate was first discussed during a board meeting with his Open Society Foundations. The Open Society Foundations was founded by Soros and is a liberal grant-making group that funds leftist causes and candidates. So they talk about taking the money out of politics, right, the super PACs, etc. But of course the Open Society Foundations, nobody mentions a word about, and that just goes on and on, collecting money, most of it from George Soros himself, that he makes by shorting and destroying the currencies of countries, and passes it on to leftist causes, progressive causes, regressive causes, and candidates. So they got hold of the report. It's a 220-page strategy document, and it's just one guide among more than 2,500 hacked documents published by the firm DC Leaks, right? A kind of a domestic version of WikiLeaks. The guide covers strategies and tactics the group will employ in the United States from 2015 to 2018. Folks, we're almost there. And how much of this is actually true? The top goals listed by the guide are to advance electoral reform and combat suppression. Here are the 4 goals. An American democracy strengthened through increased meaningful participation, inclusive practice, and accountability. Okay, cross out the accountability. That's just fluff that they put in there to make it sound good. Increased meaningful participation means bringing in as many dead people and illegal immigrants as possible. Sorry, I just have to do the translation here because, they're speaking a different language than we are. Inclusive practice, same thing, bringing in as many people as they can to vote. Another goal expands upon this, calling for full political, economic, and civic participation of immigrants and communities of color by dismantling the barriers and strengthening the conduits to opportunity. Well, the only opportunity that communities of color need is the opportunity of jobs, something that Donald Trump's going to give them. But what the Open Foundations are looking to bring full political, economic, and civic participation of immigrants. Remember, to the regressives, and there is no such thing as an illegal immigrant. Anybody who steps across the border is an immigrant and therefore is entitled to full political, economic, and civic participation. Yeah, right. And the guide does discuss how to expand the electorate by at least 10 million voters, by lowering barriers to voter registration through the various forms of modernization and increased ballot access, while sustaining and expanding the franchise. I mean, this is just all unbelievable liberal claptrap, and I don't know how we let them get away with it. Let me just get on with the rest of this report. Right? They want to establish strong protections against voter suppression, denial, and dilution. Voter suppression, in other words, they want to be able to stop us stopping dead people voting and illegals voting. That's how you translate this. So now we know why Soros has funded efforts to overturn voter ID laws. The first one that he did was in Ohio, a group called Ohio Organizing Collaborative, and it was led by a lawyer who's also Hillary Clinton's top campaign lawyer. However, OOC was eventually replaced on the lawsuit when a criminal investigation found that they were forging signatures and registering dead people to vote. I saw a good idea recently. Somebody said we should have a national registry of voter fraud. We have so many other national registries, and they want to have a national gun registry. Why don't we have a national registry of voter fraud? And if you are caught doing any kind of voter fraud like this OOC group was, all these people should be ineligible to vote well, the article suggested forever. I think you'd probably get a lot of resistance to that, but at least 10 or 20 years, exclude them from any kind of voting. Don't you think that would be a correct thing to do? Anyway, so they started in Ohio, then they filed one in Wisconsin, now in Virginia. They keep filing these lawsuits against voter ID, but guess what? Virginia failed, and other states are also saying, no, folks, it's about time we did have voter ID. And Soros has also donated money to Immigrant Voters PAC, an organization established to fund a campaign geared towards registering 400,000 Hispanic voters during this year's presidential election. So, look at it, folks. Soros is basically just involved in every aspect of manipulating the rules of American elections. Unbelievable. Spending all this, and they always talk about getting the money out of politics. But George Soros is probably one of the highest spenders. Okay, folks, I see it's time for yet another commercial. And, hang on, folks. We'll then be in the last segment of the show.
Hello, Americans. It's Uncle Sam here. If you owe $10,000 or more on your federal or state income taxes, I've got important news that may help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS, with their Fresh Start initiative, is offering more flexible terms to Americans looking to settle their IRS debt. They can help you lift your wage garnishments, stop bank levies, and put your tax problem behind you once and for all. If you owe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS or state, our team of tax professionals can resolve your case and stop collection actions against you. Even if you've been audited or haven't filed a return in years, we can help. Call right now and find out if you qualify to settle your debt for far less than what you owe. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110. 800-357-8110.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
You're listening to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, broadcast on the internet, and also available at archives.patrickcomelately.us, a proud member of the Red Nation Rising Radio Network.
Okay, folks, we are back for the final segment. A lot of heavy stuff in this show. Last time I tried a little bit of humor, and David, who was in the chat room last week, also sent me something else. Now, this did seem to go viral. I actually got it from a number of places, but I thought it was quite funny, so I want to lighten things up before I go. And this was a story about Donald and Hillary meeting up on the campaign. So they decide to go into a bakery and get a bite to eat. And as soon as they enter the bakery, Hillary stole 3 pastries and puts them in her pocket. She says to Donald, "See how clever I am? The owner didn't see anything, and I don't even need to lie. I will definitely win the election." Donald says to Hillary, "That's the typical dishonesty you have displayed throughout your entire life. trickery and deceit. I'm going to show you an honest way to get the same result. Donald goes to the owner of the bakery and says, give me a pastry and I will show you a magic trick. Intrigued, the owner accepts it and gives him a pastry. Trump pops it in his mouth, eats it, swallows it, and asks for another one. The owner looks at him, but he gives him another one. Donald does the same, pops it in his mouth, eats it, swallows it, and then he asks for a third pastry. Pops that in his mouth and starts eating it. By now the owner is starting to wonder where the magic trick is, and he says, what did you do with the pastries? Trump replies, look in Hillary's pocket. Folks, I think that's perfect. It shows how clever Donald is, and I know it's, basically it's a bit of a joke, but that's exactly the sort of thing I would expect from Donald. He's a lot cleverer than people think. Now, some important news for my listeners. The shows of, let's see, it's going to be September 13th and 20th. I think that's the Tuesday evening. So if you listen live on those days, will not be broadcast on those days. So the 13th and the 20th of September, the show will not be broadcast. I am going to be recording either tomorrow, but definitely next week. I'm going to be recording a couple of extra shows. One will be, obviously it is the time around September 11th, and I have my annual September 11th remembrance, and the other one is the September 17th is Constitution Day, so it's a discussion of the Constitution. So those shows will be prepared and they will be broadcast on the other channels as normal. But I will be recording the other ones, well, maybe not the September 11th one because that's already pre-recorded, but the constitutional one will either be recorded tomorrow or next week on another day. So watch Facebook and Twitter, and I will announce that show before it's broadcast, but it will be off. I will be back, so the 27th of September I will be back again, but I'm going across to Europe, visit my eldest daughter, and also for my niece's wedding. She has a destination wedding in Spain, and so I have to miss the show. Well, as usual, I haven't handled half the topics I would like to, but I hope you enjoyed the show today. Rex, sorry to see all your problems there. Hope you get better, and so I will be back next week, but after that a couple of weeks off. But you can always catch me on the syndicated shows, syndicated channels, including Red Nation Rising, Streaming Talk Radio, 405 Media, and plenty of places. Okay, folks, it is time to say TTFN. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Do join me next week. We're going to have a lot more fun. Bye, folks.
Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide. So please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.